Hey, dear Lovetuner family and friends, I'm very happy to introduce our team writer, Jessica Headey Gandolfi. She is European, as I am. She moved to LA and she had an epic healing journey, and she did even something better. She is of service from humanity. So she took everything she learned, everything she experienced, and turned it into a special healing concept, let's call it this way. And she will tell us today about her journey, about her healing modalities, and why we are all even in the resonance of the 528 Hertz frequency. Jessica, we're very welcome you.
Thank you, Sigmar. I'm so honored to be here. Really grateful. Thank you. Thanks for asking me.
Awesome. I would say let's do a tune, and then we get started and start our conversation.
Absolutely. Let's do it.
You have one? Okay. Nice.
So
nice.
good.
Jessica, we talked already about that. You're from England and you moved to Los Angeles a while ago, right? 20 years ago?
13 years ago now. Yeah. So
okay.
It's been a while for sure.
So would you say that moving from one continent to the other, leaving the old world, coming to the new world, you think it does something to a human?
Absolutely. It totally does. And I mean, obviously, it depends on the reasons why you're moving. And, there's always a lot more. I think there's always something deeper to it, but whether you're aware of that or not at the time, obviously will always play into it too. But it's a challenge because you're leaving behind the old and what's familiar, and you're taking a risk, and, you're starting a new chapter. And however that rolls out, it's exciting, it's an adventure. And for me, I think it really depends on where you're at in your life. And for me, I was, I guess, escaping a lot of the time, and maybe sometimes that's what people do, to make a big move like that. Sometimes it is because you're running from something and searching for something else, something better.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a very interesting quote from Frank Lloyd Wright. Actually, he said this, the architect, he said this a long time ago: if you tilt the world upside down, everything what is loose ends up in Los Angeles. And there's something very liberating to it, because we Europeans, we have this tradition and whatever we have been raised and what we believe in. But I think, here it's still like a different freedom. Even if times are changing, but the feeling what Europeans have and what our ideas about America is freedom. Mm-hmm. And what I recognize, it liberates you, and it gives you the freedom to search within. That's the interesting part, what I discovered, like everything on the outside is nice and is what you think, what you might expect, what happens or not happens. But I think the journey inside is the real journey.
Well, that's it. And you're absolutely 100% right. I mean, to land in Los Angeles, it's an anomaly. I mean, it is an experience in itself, and it takes a while to adjust, but you have everything that you need here to heal and to explore and to go really deep within. And, to heal yourself is to know yourself. And you can't know yourself unless you love yourself. And to love yourself, you have to look inwards. And sometimes you'll need those different tools to allow you to do that, because it's painful and sometimes it's challenging. But absolutely, if there's anywhere in the world to do it, for sure it's here in LA, because we have everything available to us. And I know, had I stayed in London, my journey would have been completely different, because I just wouldn't have had the tools or the ability to be able to express and explore myself in the way that I did here, and for people to be open to it.
Yeah. And you started Harmonyum LA in 2018. And some of our guests know what it is. I found it very, very interesting. It is an absolute resonance with the Lovetuner, with our mission, with the frequency by itself. But you told me that your own journey is very tied into this healing modality. And out of this healing modality, you more or less started like this spiritual hygiene, what a lot of people are talking about. And you have great success. So people that come to you that need advice, that need healing, you can turn the life around. You can give him a different perspective.
Yeah, you know what, Sigmar, is interesting. I don't do any of that. What I am able to do when people come to see me is allow them to do their own work. You know, Harmonyum, it's a very, very spiritual healing system. And yes, I started my practice, Harmonium LA, whereas I just work exclusively with the Harmonium healing system, which was developed by a guy called Dr. Joseph Michael Levery. He's my spiritual teacher. And I had worked in the health and wellness and skincare for over 30 years, and I had tried every different type of modality for my own healing journey. And I had never, ever heard of Harmonium in all my years. And only when I was here and I started working with Dr. Levery that he said to me, Jessica, you need Harmonium. And I said, well, I have absolutely no idea what that is. I've never heard of it. But if that's going to help me, if it's going to work, then I'm all in for that. And so that's how I came about it. And again, like you said, it's about resonance. And I do say to people now, Harmonium is absolutely not a new system. It's been around for about 26, 27 years, but it is new to a lot of people because they've never heard of it before. And I honestly stand by the fact that you will really only come across Harmonium when you are ready to receive it, because you have to be ready. It's energetic, it's very spiritual, and I call it a next level of healing, because people come to it when they've tried everything else. Nothing else is working and they're still dealing with issues. You know, they've done all the talk therapy, they've done all the other types of therapies that are out there, and yet they're still struggling and suffering, which is exactly what happened with me. And you get to a point where you say, something has to change. This isn't working. I am ready to make a change. And that's when I say to people, it's at that point that you will stumble across, or Harmonium will find you. And that'll happen.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. So, I mean, the interesting thing when you explained it to me, and this is what resonances with the Lovetuner is, because it's really about self-empowerment. Mm-hmm. And when people at one point understand that it's not on the outside, nothing is on the outside, everything is on the inside. And this is where the true power sits. And this is like, you know, we as Europeans, and especially like I come from the German speaking countries, so we have a very different view to spoken therapy. It takes so long that people even go there. America, and especially the West Coast, is very different. It's completely integrated in the society. Everybody has a shrink, everybody talks about it. But what it actually does is, and I'm not talking anything, people go to their shrinks, do whatever they like to do. But what happens is, if you constantly talk about what is not right, you just make it bigger. And this is just the law of resonance. And this is like, if you focus the attention on your lack, then you will never get into abundance, you know. And this is just like, this is what we call with Lovetuner is just the, you know, the law of attraction, or the law of, you know, if you're in resonance with something, you cannot be in resonance with abundance when you talk constantly about your lack.
Exactly. 100%. And, you know, and that all plays into all of it. The same with the Lovetuner, the same with Harmonium, because with Harmonium, it's not talk therapy. It's not about talking and going through, because, you know, like you say, what you talk about, you bring about, and what you focus on, you get more of. And so, and sometimes, you know, Sigmar, we don't actually know what the problem is. And so, you know, it's 99% of what we don't see that hurts us when we're dealing with energy and we're dealing with emotions, which is what Harmonium will do. It's working on the emotional body, working on the physical body. It's a spiritual treatment. So to be honest with you, you know, you need both physical healing and you need spiritual healing. You can't have one without the other. You have to look at us as a whole, as holistic. And so you need the physical healing, the therapy, the fitness, the mindset, all the different other holistic treatments. You need that, because that will treat the fruit. But in order to really heal at a permanent level, deeply, you have to get to the root of the problem. And so you need spiritual healing. And spiritual healing will allow you to really work at that deep root level. And only by working at the root level will you permanently heal the body. Otherwise, the physical work is great, but you're only just treating the fruit. And if you don't get to the root, the fruit's going to keep coming back. And by treating the fruit, you're really just buying yourself a pocket of time before the fruit comes back again. So to really heal deeply, you have to work from a spiritual standpoint, which is the kind of the work that you do with the energy, with changing the vibration. It's the same thing. So spiritual hygiene, which you mentioned earlier, is crucial. People, spiritual hygiene, what is that, Jessica? You've been living in LA for too long, but it's not. It's every single day. We get up, we have a shower, we do our hair, makeup, we wash ourselves physically every day. But you also need to look after that spiritual side of yourself. So whether that's working with the Lovetuner every morning before you even get out of bed, whether it's doing your meditations, whether it's journaling, whether it's taking a walk and listening to something nourishing on your music, all of those things are helping to clean and strengthen your spiritual body. And with all of the toxic news and trauma and disrupt and upset around the world that has just been escalating over the past 12, 18 months, we have to have a stronger spiritual practice now more than ever. It's crucial. And that then plays into our emotional diet. What are we listening to? What are we feeding our emotional bodies? Are we listening to the news? It's miserable, it's depressing, it's going to send us into that downward spiral. We need to think about what we're listening to, what we are watching. Are we watching uplifting, strengthening, positive content? And what are we taking in on a daily basis? Who are we surrounding ourselves with? Because all of those things will play into our mindset and our frequency and our vibration. And, if we want to elevate ourselves and, humanity, we've got to change the vibration, which is where the Lovetuner comes into it too.
Yeah. There's one thing what I would like to underline too, is you talk about nervous system regulations. And this is where the Lovetuner kicks in big time, because as soon as you tune the frequency, disconnects our nervous systems, takes you out from the fight and flight mode into a relaxed state of mind. What do you understand on the nervous system regulation? So if you explain this to our listeners, that would be great.
Oh, totally. I mean, the nervous system controls everything, right? And so you've got your sympathetic and the parasympathetic. Your sympathetic is your fight or flight. It's the go, go, go. It's the adrenaline. It's what keeps us going. It's what's there to protect us. And then the parasympathetic is the rest and digest. And that is that really deep, deep state of relaxation. And in order for our bodies to really function at their optimum levels, we really need to have that balance, but we really need to activate more so the parasympathetic side of the nervous system, because that is when the body will start to heal itself. We are incredible machines. We forget how powerful our bodies are. We are designed to heal ourselves. We are self-healing mechanisms. But unless our bodies are in the right environment, it's very difficult for us to figure out what we need to do to heal ourselves at a root level. And so in order to activate that parasympathetic side of the nervous system, you really have to look at stimulating and calming down, getting out of fight or flight and bringing in the rest and digest. And people say, well, I'll have a bath at the end of the day, or I'll put the TV on, have a glass of wine, and that's relaxing. That's going to help me just calm down. But actually it doesn't, because, you turn on the TV and all you're seeing is crap. And then, you're having a glass of wine and that's just aggravating the nervous system. And so, in order to really calm the nervous system, you have to using something like the Lovetuner, working with a system like Harmonyum, where you are working with very, very light touch. And you are making the body feel safe. You are changing the vibration within the body, the energetic system. And when the body feels safe, it can start to relax at a much deeper level. And at that point, it can start to figure out what it needs to do to heal itself.
This is and this is so beautiful, because you explained it exactly, that these modalities overlap with everything, breathing, meditation, all this stuff. And it's such a simple tool. And I recognize that it's sometimes too simple for people. So because they want to have something on top of it. They need someone that they can talk every day to. They need whatever reminder. And I think this is what actually is the work that the client needs to do.
Absolutely. Sigmar, life is difficult enough. We really do not need our healing to be difficult. It should be easy. But like you say, people are conditioned to think that everything has to be a challenge. It has to be difficult. It can't. If it's easy, then there has to be something wrong with it. But actually, no, not really. I mean, when I came across Lovetuner, it made perfect sense that it is something that I could integrate into my healing practice, because it's so easy. Change that energetic vibration, that field within a second. And this Harmonium, all my clients do is come in, lay down for 45 minutes and do absolutely nothing while I work on their spine. It's so easy, and yet it's so powerful. So people are very judgmental about that. Well, how could it possibly be working? It has to be more difficult than that. Well, no, not really.
Yeah. And how do you integrate the Lovetuner in your healing? Like when you do your sessions, do you tune to the client?
Yeah, it was interesting because it's, if you, again, like Harmonium, if you've never heard of Lovetuner and someone introduces it, some people are like, okay, this is weird. And so initially I would talk to my clients, and the type of clients that come to me are very open to, the spiritual aspect. And so, I would talk to them about it. Say, listen, I'm working with this new tool, and are you open to trying it? And of course they were. And so I will tune before a session, and it was really fascinating to see the difference for my clients, from having experienced Harmonium without the Lovetuner, and then experienced it after we had tuned before we started the session. And, they say it's even more powerful. It's even more of an experience, because with Harmonium, you drop into such a deep state of relaxation that you're almost, it's almost like a twilight zone. You're half awake and half asleep. And so, you drop in, you drop out. Sometimes you're aware, sometimes you're not. But what they told me was that with the experience with the tuner beforehand, just gave them a completely different experience, where they really did feel that they had this kind of out of body experience, because of course you're opening the heart. You're bringing the attention into the heart. So before you even start with Harmonium, you've activated that heart energy. And that's what we're trying to do, is we're trying to get out of the head and into the heart, because only then can you really look at what you need to heal and to see the pain and to start to move through it. So then, of course, then they take the tuners and they work with them at home. And so it just becomes this beautiful blend of, of healing. It's simple, keeping it simple, simplicity.
We talked also about when we started to work together, we talked about Lovetuner. It's not only a product, it started as a love and peace mission. We're doing our foundation work. We work on the educational in schools. We work with brethren. So we have multiple different healing programs that we either do ourselves or where we support people who know it better. So this is very simple, where we can integrate the Lovetuner. But you did something very outstanding, actually. You wrote a kid's book, and you have your own foundation and your own charity. So you want to tell us a little bit about what you did there? You wrote a children's book, and you supporting an orphanage.
Yeah. And again, that was part of my healing journey. And, the one thing, and that was after I started working with Harmonium, because what Harmonium will do is it will raise your consciousness. It turns the light on in the consciousness. Consciousness is light. And when there is light and you start to see what is not working for you, you can start to slowly remove those things from your life and bring in things which are much more high vibration, which are going to benefit you and your mission of being here on the planet. And so the children's book kind of came as a result of working through the Harmonium and my own healing. And it was, the kids were in 6th, 7th grade, and they were working with an orphanage down in Tijuana, and every year they would collect clothes and donations, and then the 8th grade kids would take them down to the orphanage and spend the day with the children. And I had this story in my mind, because my daughter had this stuffed animal monkey that she'd had since she was a year old, and we'd had all these adventures. And I said to her, Amelia, we really should do more to help. And so let's write Monkey's story, let's bring it to life, and let's just dedicate that book and all the proceeds and everything to these kids. And let's do it as inspiration for these kids that, everything is possible. Follow your dreams, believe in yourself, go with the magic, follow it, because it is, like you said in the beginning, what you think about, you bring about, and it's only impossible if you think it is. And so to try and inspire these kids and other children around the world, and to give back, and because acts of service is incredibly healing, as you know.
It is. This is also what I learned in my journey, giving back and then giving and being of service is for sure the highest good that we have. And it's very simple concept, actually. And the more you swing on a higher frequency, the more you know what resonance does. And even if you open your heart to be in resonance first, you have your heart coherence, and then whatever resonates with you will keep you on a higher level. And when we talk about consciousness being light, so what is the easiest thing than to keep with all we just discussed? to keep with your spiritual hygiene, your frequency high.
Yeah.
And this means that you are not impacted by lower frequencies, and lower frequency we constantly have. I mean, I'm the head of Lovetuner and the mission behind it, but it's also a business, so I have to deal with whatever very low swinging stuff sometimes, and I have a team in between me and whatever is out there, what is the business side of it. But you cannot be completely detached, and this is like when people hear what we are doing, they say, yeah, that might work for you, but not for me. I'm an architect, I'm a lawyer, etc. But this is not true, because it's about the consciousness and about your own vibration. And this sets the tone. I always say the Lovetuner sets the tone, but it's your frequency. And no matter what you do, or what you have to do, or what is your mission, or whatever you're out there, you are in charge of your own frequency. And if you swing high, you will be in resonance with high frequency. And I think, and this is where healing starts and where suffering stops. And when we go back to our purpose, that our, happiness is our birthrights, then I think everything makes sense again, and people can be happy, and this is what we should be.
Absolutely. And honestly, Sigmar, it's like anything. It's a muscle. It's something that you have to work. It's a practice, and that's why it's called a practice. It's not something that happens overnight. It's like you want a six pack, you go to the gym. You can't just go once and expect it. It's a continuous process. It's discipline, it's dedication, and it's commitment. And how much do you want it? And it is available to everybody, but it's whether or not you are ready to receive it, the resonance, and whether you're prepared to put the work in, or whether you're just going to be, I like to say, like a spiritual tourist. You have all these options to you, and you get in a cab and you think, I'm going to take a little journey around all these different spiritual avenues and see which one sticks. But you can't keep getting in and out of the taxi and expecting the results. You have to get in it and keep going until you get to the destination, and only then will you start to see the benefits, because it is a practice. And there's days where, of course, I wake up, I'm like, oh, there's an energy, or there's something that you pick up, and you have to work through it, and you have to go back again to the beginning. Okay, what do I need to do? How can I shift this energy? How can I shift this frequency and this vibration, and to start to implement that in the daily life? And the more you do it, the easier it gets, and then the more you build on it, and then the stronger it gets, and then you just start to see everything starting to shift, and that just gives you that motivation to keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, because the thing what it is like when people say, I want to have the perfect setup, this will never happen, because we just cannot control it, but what we can control is how we react to it, and the frequency we stay in. Because like everybody can be happy in the perfect setup. People go on a holiday trip, they go with the one they love, and they have whatever great food, they do great sports. Yeah, they're happy. And then they go back to work, and then they're not happy. And I have to say, like, the more people that I meet who are happy no matter what, this is exactly because they did their work, and they never forgot actually to listen to their heart. And this is literally, our mind is not what should control our lives.
That's where all of the problems start in the mind, and we have to. That's the difficult part of it, because no doctor can clean your mind. The only thing that can clean your mind is you. You have to do that work. You have to go in, and you have to do the work. You have to face the darkness, and you have to move through it, so that you can then come out of the other side of it. And that's the journey right there. And what you need right now, today, might not be what you need tomorrow. Every step of the journey requires a different tool or technique or a different version of you. But you have to do the work on you, so that you can show up as the best version of you. And then you're not reliant on external sources, circumstances, people, situations to make you happy. It's got to come from in here first.
And when you, for example, see it in your clients, when they come to you, when is actually the point where you see that it's activating the self-healing? Where do you see the biggest shift?
It's amazing, because everybody's different, because we're all dealing with something different. We don't know what we're dealing with, as I said, on an energetic basis, because you don't see the energy, you feel it, and it comes through as an emotion, but you don't see what's going on. And so with Harmonyum, it's a process, just like we said, like anything is. And it really depends on everybody. It depends what they're working through. It depends how often they can commit, and come for sessions and do the work outside of the sessions. And it really is a process, and it's ongoing. I normally say to clients, around about 7 or 8 sessions in, they will start to feel a shift. But the beautiful thing about Harmonyum is it's so subtle and so sophisticated that it doesn't just come and hit you in the face and go, hello, you're fixed. It doesn't work that way. It just gradually makes you become more aware of what you are doing in your life that does not serve you. So whether that's a person, a situation, a job, a career, whatever it might be, if it's not serving you and your highest good on this planet, your journey, your time on this planet, then those things will very gracefully melt away. And then people that were in your life may just suddenly just disappear, and you won't know why or what, or something will come to you and you'll get a hit to try something different, or, it just become, again, it's that raising your consciousness, turning that light on. And so because it's divine and because it's spiritual, it's very graceful, very elegant, and it doesn't need to come in with all the bells and the whistles. It's everybody's journey is unique, as you know. And so it's really just about being committed, being disciplined, and trusting that what you need will come to you at the right time.
Jessica, this was so beautiful what you just said, and I cannot agree more. I would like to end it on this note because it's so beautiful and it just like hit the note perfectly. I just want to mention one thing for our listeners to check out. So Jessica has also a podcast. I have been a guest on it. It's called Stop Searching, Start Healing. We will show this on your subtitles in our podcast that people can check it out. It's really interesting. So Jessica has amazing people in there. And yeah, please people check it out. And thank you, Jessica, for being our guest here at the Lovetuner podcast today. And we're looking forward to a lot of new things.
Absolutely. Thank you, Sigmar. Thank you.
Awesome. Take care. Bye.